Welcome to this week's Connect group. Peter, who is a follower of Jesus, wrote in the Bible, "Each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others, as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms." We believe at King's Community Church that serving is core to who we are as believers. We encourage everybody to serve in some capacity so that they can steward the gifts that God has given them, fulfill their destiny in Christ, and also reach others. Before we begin our Connect group material, we wanted to highlight a team which may give you a great opportunity to serve in this season.
Since early 2017, KCC's had the privilege of running Aberdeen North Food Bank. As a local food bank, we run it in conjunction with the Trussell Trust, and it's our privilege to serve the local people, giving them food, necessities, and any other things that they lack access to as a result of their situation. So here at King's, we're actually the main distribution centre for 4 other churches across our city, and we open up our doors every single week on Mondays and Fridays from 12 to 1 o'clock, just giving people access to food, also just having conversation with them, being just a shoulder for them to talk and discuss issues with, and just serving them in any way that we can. Our food banks are run entirely by volunteers, people like us who are just passionate about serving people who are in need and making a difference in their community. We also are in charge of running our local warehouse where we store all our food, and a part of that role as well is that we also distribute all the food and stock to the other food bank centres that we are in partnership with. Food and water is actually just a basic human need, and it's a small way for us just to serve our local community. When people come in and they're blessed by the generosity of people like yourselves and people in the community who give out donations to us, that we can actually afford to be so kind to other people. They're always so blessed and so grateful. So just through this small act of generosity, they come to have an encounter with people who love them and cherish them and just want the best for them. So it's just a great way of blessing our community and blessing people around us. Here at Aberdeen North Food Bank, we're always looking for people to get involved in what we do. So if you'd like to get involved in our centres, in our warehouse, in the office, or in our upcoming Christmas collections, we would love to have you. Additionally, if you actually don't have the time to get involved in those aspects, but you'd love to donate, we're more than happy to take that as well. So whatever you can, really, we would really appreciate your involvement. Thank you so much.
Throughout autumn, we are studying the foundational principles that make King's Community Church who we are. We're looking again at our summer preach series, Reopening the Wells. In the book of Acts, we get a picture of the early church and how they lived their life. It says in Acts, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship, to the breaking of bread and to prayer. Everyone was filled with awe at the many wonders and signs performed by the apostles. All the believers were together and had everything in common. They sold property and possessions to give to anyone who had need. Every day they continued to meet together in the temple courts. They broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favour of all the people. And the Lord added to their number daily those who were being saved. King's Community Church is a church that is based on the principles and the values that we see lived out in this picture of the early church. We are and we want to be a church that continues with the values of loyalty, humility, community, maturity, and generosity. And today we want to focus on the value of community. Community is the value that realizes we can do it on our own, but actually together we can achieve so much more. Community is the value that prefers friendship rather than function, that values relationship above rules, and that values people above position. Community is the movement of everyone together, going forwards together, not always in uniformity, but with a common goal, a common vision, and a common heart. It says in the Bible that we have been graced with unity, and as community, it is our blessing to be able to outwork that in whichever circumstance, whichever ministry, wherever we find ourselves. In this week's material, we're going to look back at Craig's preach on community, where he talks about Ruth and how the value of community is played out in her relationship with Boaz. Before we watch the message, let's turn in our Bibles and read together Ruth 2, 1-23.
community means that we are together, but we're not all together yet. We're together, but we're not all together yet. I love this story. I love reading chapter 2 and seeing this moment when Boaz comes into the field. And he comes into the field and he sees his workers, the guys he has known, who have worked for him for some time probably, who he's familiar with, and he calls out to them, "God bless you." And they call back to him, "Hey, God bless you, boss." And they have this little dialogue. But then Boaz's eye is drawn to the alien. His eye is drawn to the person he doesn't know. His eye is drawn to the person who's on the outside. His eye is drawn to Ruth, and he says, "Hang on." And he calls his foreman over, and he says, "Come here. Who's that? I don't recognize her. Where's she come from? She's not part of us. She's not been a part of the community." And I love how his eye is drawn to Ruth, because the togetherness in the field is vital. It's so important that those workers know each other and they know their boss. That back and forth that they have of God bless you too is vital, and it's what we celebrate and love and enjoy here. We love it that we are family. I love it that when I come in here, there are so many people whose hand I can shake, who I can give a hug to, who I can ask how the week's been, who we can have that back and forth. How are you getting on? How's your devotional life? Did you see this movie? All that chat can go on back and forth. That's the togetherness. But the reality is, we're not all together yet. There are still people on the outsides. There are still people gleaning. There are still people who need to be brought in, who need to become part of our community. And just like Boaz, our eyes have to be scanning, looking to the sides, looking for the people who haven't yet been brought in so that we can make them a part of the community, so that they could be part of everything that's happening here, so that they might know the joy of walking through the door and seeing their friends and their family and being connected and together in this place. And church, do you know we will not be all together until we're in glory? That is the moment when we can stop looking for the people on the outsides. There is a day when you are released from your duty of looking for the people on the outsides, but it is not on this earth, it is in heaven with Jesus. That is when that duty stops. That is when we get to stand down. Until then, just like Boaz, we're looking for the outsiders all the time. Who are they? And I would love it if every one of us was together, building relationship with each other, but together like meerkats, just looking over each other's earlobes all the time for the one who's got nobody speaking to them. For the one, because, hey, speak to your friends, of course, but your friends should know that you're going to ditch them if you see someone new. Each one of us should know and should be empowering and giving permission to our friends. Hey, go speak to them. Speak to me later. I'll catch you through the week. I'll catch you on WhatsApp. I'll get you later. Don't worry about me. Go speak to the new person. Go speak to the person who isn't connected yet. That has to be our language. That has to be our culture. And hey, I want to say one other thing. I know how awkward it is in a big church when you go up to someone and you shake their hand and you say, "Hey, lovely to meet you, Stephen. Are you new here?" And they look back at you and go, "I've been here for 7 years." And you die inside. Oh my word, the shame. "I'm so sorry," and you can't say sorry enough. Oh. Or you go up to them and you say, "Hey, I don't know your name." And they're like, "I've told you my name 5 times." And again, oh. Can we just give permission to each other that we're going to make those mistakes? Can we accept that that's going to happen and see that the better thing is actually that I'm trying? The better thing is that I've come over and shook your hand, and I'm sorry that my memory's like a sieve, and I'm sorry that I've not noticed you for 6 or 7 years, but please, can we start now and build community? Can we start now and get together? And if we all give permission to each other, and we choose that when someone does come up and say, "Hey, are you new and you've been here since time began?" we're not going to take offense. We're just going to go, "Hey, I'm not new, but it's great to meet you." Or, "Hey, we met before, but I'll remind you of my name." Can that be our approach so that the people on the outside get brought in? We're together, but we're not all together yet. And our language has to be, this community would be so much better if you were right in the middle of it. Every single person, this community will be better when you're right in the middle of it. When you're in the heart of everything that's happening here, this place will be better.